Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I do apologise for the amount of time it has been since I've last filmed a video. I think the last one was in May. I think it was a May favourites video that I did. I've been super busy with trying to organise going back to work and Noah and all of this stuff, but I'm back and I'm going to be filming a video for you today. So today's video is just going to be a sit down chit chat video about my pregnancy, labour and delivery. Noah is nearly 6 months now, so it has been a while since I had him, but I thought I would do a quick sit down video and just have a chat with you about it. So I don't have any questions on my phone or anything to answer. I'm just going to go through like things like how I found out I was pregnant, were we trying for a baby, the pregnancy in itself, labour, delivery and after. First things first, let's get started with the whole pregnancy side of things. So I found out I was pregnant on a Monday, and I'm pretty sure it was Monday the 10th of July. Let me find out. Yes, so it was Monday the 10th of July I found out I was pregnant. And funny story, I was actually on holiday until the 5th of July. The keys to our house on the 6th of July. Moved in on the 9th of July and found out I was pregnant on the 10th of July. So it was quite a whirlwind of events that was happening. So basically what happened was I was at work and I just got this sudden feeling to do a pregnancy test. I did have some pregnancy tests left over from like previous times. I didn't actually go out and buy one for the first try. I came home, I was working late that night, so I finished work at 7:30. I came home and did a test about 8 o'clock that night. Didn't tell my partner. And I remember sitting there. It was one of the clear blue digital ones, so that come up that you are pregnant or not pregnant, and if you are, then how many weeks gone you are. So I remember sitting in the bathroom and looking at this test and thinking, I don't know why I'm doing this is so stupid. I'm not pregnant. I know I'm not pregnant. I haven't had any symptoms, nothing like that. And it came up pregnant, but the egg timer was still flashing on it, so I just thought, oh well, it's gonna come up pregnant, and then once the egg timer stopped, it's gonna come up not pregnant. Much to my surprise, it didn't. It came up pregnant and 3 to 4 weeks plus. I remember just sitting there looking at it and thinking, oh my god, how am I pregnant? How am I pregnant? How am I gonna do this? We've just bought a house. I'm only 20, I was 20 at the time, and I was thinking, oh my god, this cannot be happening. But it was. I took the test downstairs, sat next to my partner, and kind of was just staring at him like, oh my god, what am I going to do? I was so scared of telling him, but I didn't actually tell him. I just gave him the pregnancy test because he knew that there was something wrong. I gave him the test, he looked at it and was like, oh my god. But I just kind of looked at him and thought, oh my god, what are we gonna do? We just bought a house. Like, this wasn't planned at all. Like, we obviously knew that we wanted kids together, but give it a year or 2 or 3. I mean, I was 20, he was 25 at the time, and we thought, oh my god, this is just not going to work. What are we gonna do? And I just remember sitting there and being like, I don't believe it. I don't believe the test. Like, we need to get some more tests. I don't believe it. I don't think this is right. Can we go and get some more tests? We went to Tesco, and I think I bought 5 in the end. I think I did 3 that night, not including the one I'd already done, so I've done 4 altogether. They all came back positive. I thought, no, I'm going to leave the last one, I'll do it tomorrow morning and I'll go into work, because obviously I work in a GP surgery, so I thought, well, they can do a test there for me as well. I went and did the one that morning, came back positive. It was happening, and I had to realise that pretty quickly. So I went to work the next morning. I told my friend there, who was the head nurse, that I thought I was pregnant, and she was like, well, we can do a test for you, like, is it a good thing, is it a bad thing? And I thought, well, it's not really a good thing, but it's not really a bad thing. Like, not something that we didn't want, it's just something that come a lot sooner than what we wanted. So I did a test there. Yep, that came back positive. She said, you are definitely pregnant. Like, have you told the doctors? Have you told anyone? I said, well, no, I haven't told anyone yet, apart from Rob, my partner. He's the only one that obviously knows, and you now. So she was like, okay, well, obviously it's confidential. I'm not going to tell anyone. It's your decision to tell people if you want to. It clicked to me that I was 4 days overdue of my period. But I hadn't thought about it because we've been so busy moving into the house. I'd just not thought about it. Like, the days had just gone, and yeah, it never crossed my mind. And I thought, well, yeah, it makes sense. I was 4 days overdue. I did my shift at work, went home, told Rob, and I said to him, look, you know, I'm pregnant. This is happening. Like, I did a test at work, and that came back positive as well. I think we need to sit down and have a chat. We sat down. You know, at this moment in time, I'd done 6 or 7 tests. They'd all come back positive, so, you know, I was fairly sure I was pregnant. And we sat down and we spoke, and we said, you know, we're young, we've still got so much that we wanted to do, you know, we want to sort the house out first, you know. But from what we'd thought about before even the chance of me becoming pregnant had come up, you know, we'd bought a 2-bedroom house ready to have a baby. You know, I had a big car, and so did he, ready to have kids, to have the space for kids. But, you know, we didn't want it so soon. But can you hear him? But, you know, it had come pretty quick, you know, pretty quick after getting the house. And he said to me, is there an option in your mind if you didn't want to keep it? And I looked at him and I said, you know, if I'm being honest, I can't get rid of it. Having kids with Rob is something that I'd always wanted. Like, that was my dream, to be a mum. It always has been ever since I was younger. And I thought, you know, I don't know how I would get over it if I did get rid of it. I mean, at this time I was on antidepressants. I was, you know, at a point in my life where I wasn't very happy. And I just thought, I don't know, personally, for me, how I'm going to cope if I got rid of it. I knew that keeping it would be hard, but for me, I couldn't get rid of it. I'm just gonna go and get him because he is crying. He is not happy. I will be right back. Okay, we are back, and I'm going to apologise for any noise that he makes while I'm making this video. Right, where was I? He asked me what I wanted to do. There was never a point, there was never a point where he said, well, you know, I don't want this, I don't want to keep it. And from that moment on, he looked at me and said, well, looks like we're having a baby then. You keep looking at me. He was very supportive from the beginning. It took him a while, I think, to get over the fact that we were having a baby, as it did me. I mean, it didn't feel real until the first scan. I remember that quite clearly. But after that, I obviously told my boss at work because I needed to sort out maternity leave and maternity pay. Then obviously people at work started finding out. They were all really happy for me. They couldn't wait. I think from what we calculated out, I was about 5 weeks pregnant, I think I was. We thought his due date was going to be the 14th of March, but his due date was actually the 10th of March. So I was 4 days over what I originally thought I was. That went pretty smoothly. I obviously told my mum and my dad. Ultimately they were fine. Everyone was fine about it. I got morning sickness in the evenings. I think I was only sick in the morning like once or twice maybe. Mainly sick in the evenings right before I went to bed. So the first few months up until the first scan were quite simple, really easy. There weren't anything bad, nothing bad happened. So we went for our first scan. That was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I was a high risk pregnancy because my mum had preeclampsia with both me and my sister. Obviously I could have got it as well. Also I had to have a GTT, which is a glucose tolerance test, to see if I had gestational diabetes, but that was about 28 weeks I had that, because my mum and both my granddads on my mum's side and dad's side have diabetes. So at 15 weeks I had a bleed. I remember waking up about 2 in the morning. I had started bleeding. It was quite a lot. It was more like a period. So obviously the worst goes through your mind at that point. Thinking, is this a miscarriage? Am I losing him? Like what's causing the bleeding? What's happening? That sort of thing. So I rang the labour line, which is, I don't know if it's national, but something that's down in the south, where you can ring if you have a problem. They're open 24/7, or you ring if you're going into labour. So I rang them. It was about 2 in the morning, so just got to Sunday morning. I remember them saying you can either go to A&E if it's a lot of blood, or you can wait until Monday if it's just a tiny bit and see your GP. But for me it was quite a lot of blood and I was quite worried, so we decided to go to A&E. So we went down there at a local hospital, our A&E there, and they did they did blood tests. They did a urine test to see if I was still pregnant. They obviously cannulated me. I was still bleeding at the time, but it had reduced quite a lot, so it was only a little bit at this point. I was there for about an hour, maybe 2, and they basically got me an appointment at the early pregnancy unit at the hospital for 9 o'clock that morning. I went back to the early pregnancy unit about 9 o'clock, so I hadn't had any sleep. I couldn't sleep, mainly because obviously I was worried about what was happening, but also because I was cannulated. I had a lot of pain in my arm from where that was. So we went back 9 o'clock that morning. There was no one there apart from obviously me and the workers. So I went straight in. I had to fill out a little form because I was having bleeding and obviously pain. They wanted me to fill out a quick form to say like what type of bleeding, how much, where the pain was, that sort of stuff. And they gave me an ultrasound. I remember just looking at the ultrasound and thinking, please be okay, please let everything be okay. She was looking around my placenta first to see if like that had ruptured or if there was anything wrong with it, and there wasn't. And then she obviously started looking for the baby, and she found it. She found a heartbeat, which was the best news ever. What are you doing? Was the best news ever. I instantly started crying because obviously all the worries from the night before had just gone. I was so relieved that obviously baby's heartbeat was still there. They couldn't find an explanation for the bleed. So, she looked all in the placenta, around my ovaries, that sort of, that was all fine. Yeah, she couldn't find anything for the bleed. She said it is quite common, it's more common than what people think it is for a woman to bleed, especially in their first pregnancy so early on. And sometimes they never find a cause, they never find the reason, which is what happened with me. So that was fine. I went to work on the Monday and I was fine. And that was really the only properly traumatic thing about my pregnancy, was obviously the bleed at 15 weeks. But obviously he's fine. He is here kicking and scratching and blowing bubbles, so he is absolutely fine. I never found out what the cause of the bleed was. so I don't really have an answer for that. Moving on, later down the pregnancy, you know, everything was fine. I had a baby shower, he was growing normally. I had to go in and see the consultant as well as the midwife. So if you're on maternity care, midwifery care, you normally just see your midwife for your appointments, but because I was high risk, I had to go and see a consultant as well. So I had more than an average amount of appointments. If you're on midwifery care, you don't tend to have that many appointments. You just have like your scans and then some checkups. But because I was, that seems really high, there we go. But because I was on consultant care, I had more appointments and more at the hospital. I did have a preeclampsia scare. I think it was about 30 weeks around that time, because I remember getting my hospital bag ready. I've been having some high blood pressures, nothing that was like really scary, but something that it was high for me. I normally have quite low blood pressure, and these were quite high for me, so she sent me into the hospital and I had +4 protein in my urine, which is also a sign of preeclampsia. I had been getting some headaches and blurred vision, and I had protein in my urine, and I had high blood pressure for me, not in general but for me. So she did send me down to the hospital just to get it checked out. It turns out everything was fine. The protein in my urine had gone when they did the urine test there, so I don't really know what that was about, and my blood pressure had come down. I still had a headache and I still had a bit of blurred vision, but because I hadn't had any other symptoms, they just gave me some paracetamol and basically sent me on my way. So again, nothing happened after that. I was still having regular checkups with my midwife. I think I was towards the end of my pregnancy, I was having 1 a week. So it was every Wednesday I would go in to see her, check on how things are doing, on baby, on me, that sort of stuff. 7.5 weeks pregnant when I started to get Braxton Hicks. So Braxton Hicks are kind of like milder contractions. They normally are towards the top of your bump, whereas obviously contractions are at the bottom. So I started to get them, and they were coming on and off. They weren't like regular Braxton Hicks. They were every now and again I would get 1 or 2, but nothing too bad. 38 weeks was when we got our hospital bags ready. So I got mine, I got babies, and I got one for Rob ready, just a small one with some bits, because I didn't know how long I was going to be in hospital for. I didn't know what was going to happen. We also set up the Isofix in Rob's car, and we set up the car seat. We had the Moses basket ready, the crib ready, everything was ready, because we wasn't sure when he was going to come. So by 38 plus 2, I had started having contractions. I remember on the Sunday I lost my mucus plug, which is basically like a line into your cervix which comes away when you're ready to give birth. So I remember losing it at 9:30 on the Sunday morning and saying to Rob, basically, I'm gonna go into labour fairly soon. I'm not sure when, but it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be this week, it could be next week, it could be any time soon. We went and did a food shop. That was one of the last things that we wanted to do before I gave birth. We wanted to do a food shop so we knew that we had enough food in, and we also got some snacks and drinks and stuff for when I went into labour. They say to take in something like a still Lucozade, something with a lot of energy, some chocolate type stuff. So I got some stuff for me, some stuff for Rob as well. Nothing really happened on the Sunday. But come at 12 o'clock midnight on Monday, I started having contractions. So this was the 26th of February this year. I went into labour. I started having contractions at 12 o'clock, so on the dot, 12 o'clock. It was like my body knew that it was Monday, right, today is going to be the day. They were coming I would say every 10 minutes and lasting every lasting for about a minute or two. I was having them quite regular from early on. Excuse me. They weren't too bad. They was kind of like period pain. By 3 o'clock I woke Rob up because I wanted him to start timing them. I was timing them, but I was losing track of them because they were starting to come quite regular. I think they were coming every 5 minutes, lasting 1 to 2 minutes now. So he woke up about 3 and we started timing them. I hadn't managed to have any sleep in between these contractions. Honestly, can we just... What are you doing? Yes, so as I was saying, I hadn't had any sleep throughout these contractions, so I was already on about 3 hours of not sleeping. So I woke him up, he started timing them. Yeah, they were coming about every 5 minutes, lasting for a minute or so. And they were getting quite painful. I mean, I had never gone through labour before, so I wasn't sure how painful it was going to be. I know my friend said that it's really quite bad. And because it started so early, Rob decided not to go into work, because obviously if it had started later on in the morning then I could hold off a bit longer, but because they had started really early, he didn't want to go into work and leave me. So I think by 7:30 I had called labour line and I said, look, you know, I'm in labour, these contractions are coming pretty quick, pretty damn painful. I'd taken some paracetamol, but that wasn't really doing anything. They told me to take some aspirin if I had some at home, but I didn't, and I didn't really want to go out and get any. So I'd gone into hospital at this point. We'd packed up the car just in case I was to stay in, but we didn't take anything in with us. Then I was there for about an hour. They checked how many centimetres I was dilated. I was only 2 centimetres dilated, so obviously I couldn't stay there. So yeah, so they sent me home. I was still having contractions. I'd not taken any more paracetamol. I decided to get a hot bath, well, a warm bath, to try and help ease the pain. I think I was in there for about 10 minutes and I just wanted to get out because it wasn't doing anything. I didn't know what to do. And by this point they were coming pretty thick and pretty fast. They were really painful at this point. I remember holding on to Rob and just like falling to the floor, crouching over. I was trying to do everything I could to take my mind off these contractions that were happening, but nothing was working, obviously. It lasted till about 5:30. So from 12 o'clock I went into hospital at 7:30 that morning, and then 5:30 that evening I got Rob to ring labour line again. These contractions were coming every 2 minutes and they were lasting about 30 to 40 seconds. So I mean, they'd shortened in the length of time, but the pain had gotten so bad and they were coming so quick, I thought I need to go to hospital now. I'm not staying here any longer. So we rang them. They wanted to talk to me, and I think we had to stop about 10 times throughout the 5-minute conversation because I just kept having contractions. And they were really good while I was on the phone. You know, every time I'd have a contraction they'd talk me through it. They'd say, okay, stop what you're doing, deep breaths, keep breathing, and you know, we'll carry on the conversation when you're done. Yep, so they said, yep, come on in, we'll have a bed ready for you, just go to wherever you're supposed to go. And we said, you know, shall we take our hospital stuff with us? And they said, yes, take it with you just in case you need to stay in. So I remember the car journey there. It seemed to take forever, but it didn't at the same time. Like, it seemed like I was in the car for ages, but after every contraction it was like we were nearly there. So it was really quick, but a really quick car drive, but it seemed like the longest time ever. Before I knew it, we were there. Me and Rob just walked in and we didn't take any stuff in with us. We went straight to where we were supposed to go. So I had just been signed off on high risk pregnancy, so I could go back to midwifery care about a week before, which was really good, because if I was still high risk, I would have had to go onto a ward, and I really didn't want to. I wanted to go into a delivery suite, so my own room with a water birth pool, because I really wanted a water birth. That was what I really wanted. I was really glad that I had been signed off, so I could go into the room that had the water birth and be midwifery led in the care. So we went straight in, they took me into a room, and I basically was just there. I was having my contractions. They started me on gas and air, and then she came and did a check on me to see. You just shook your dummy. Right, so they did a check on me to see how many centimetres I was dilated. I was 4 centimetres going on 5 centimetres. So I just remember looking at her and just saying, please, can I stay in? Please don't send me home. And she said, no, we're not going to send you home. You're here now. So I was like, thank God for that. I was on gas and air. And this was about 7:30. I was on gas and air till I was with Rob, and then my mum turned up. Originally I didn't want my mum there, I just wanted me and Rob, because I have so many family members that I didn't really want to just pick one. But I felt like I needed my mum there. She got there and I was on gas and air for a good few hours. And I think it must have been about 7:30 maybe that I decided to have a pethidine injection in my leg. She said to me, do you want a pain relief injection? She said it's going to work straight away, it's going to last for about 2.5 hours, and you can have that and you'll be fine. So I was like, yes, 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 give me the injection. This gas and air is not working. I knew that I wanted to get into the pool, but I didn't want to get in yet. She said try and leave it a little bit longer so you're not in there for a while, but the pain was just getting too much, so I decided to have the pethidine injection. She gave me that hurt quite a little bit, but she gave me that, and I remember as soon as it kicked in, I just felt nothing. The pain had gone, I was still having contractions, I could still feel them, but it was nothing like it was before. I just remember talking rubbish, absolute rubbish to her, and she was laughing at me because obviously I didn't know what I was talking about. It felt like I was drunk. That's what it felt like. I remember being sick a few times, but because I'd had a Lucozade, I just puked up like the orange, the actual Lucozade. There was no sick coming up. Remember, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then it must have been, I think I was pushing for about an hour maybe, or half an hour, I'm not sure. I should have really found out like my pregnancy notes, because it would have said it all in there, but I don't really remember how long I was pushing for, obviously, because I don't think that's something that you do remember when you're pushing. But I remember needing to go to the toilet quite bad. Obviously I didn't need the toilet, it was baby coming out, but I thought I needed the toilet, so I got up, walked over to the toilet, tried to go to the toilet, and nothing came out. But I thought I really need the toilet, nothing's coming out. And no matter how many times the midwife said to me, you don't need the toilet, your baby is coming, I was insistent that I needed the toilet. No, I need the toilet. So I went to the toilet, nothing came. So I thought, oh well, nothing's coming. So I got up. I remember walking to the toilet door, which was this like little cubicle, and I had to turn back around because I thought, no, I need the toilet, I'm going to go to the toilet. my midwife came in and basically said to me, you don't need the toilet, you need to push. Your baby is coming right now. So I waddled back over to the bed. It wasn't a bed, it was more like a settee chair, really big one type thing. I laid down. She basically looked at, like, took all my bits off and was like, you need to push. So I had kind of gone on to my back but made it kind of onto my side. I had Rob sat here next to me, like here, and my mum was a bit further down, and obviously the midwife was at the end of me. She just basically said, you need to push. So I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. I don't remember how many pushes it was, but I know it wasn't a lot. And halfway through she basically said to me, can you go into your back a bit more? So I tried to move, but every time I moved the pain was so bad. I said to her, I can't move, I can't move. She said, just shift your hips a little bit. So I was basically on my side and she said to me, just shift your hips a little bit so you're kind of on your back a bit. So I did, and every time I pushed my legs were kind of like an L shape. So my legs were basically in like an L shape, and every time I pushed I kept going like this, and I didn't know I was doing it, but I did. And she kept saying to me, can you open your legs a bit more? Can you open your legs? Keep your legs open. And I couldn't. With every push my legs were closing together, and I think in the end I remember her just like putting herself in between my legs and holding my leg up. We have a tired baby. Yeah, I remember her just holding my legs up, like, if you can't do it, I'm gonna do it because you need to keep your legs up. And yeah, I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, and I remember the frustrating thing was basically as he was coming out, TMI, but as he was coming out I'd get him like so far and then he'd just like go back in like this, because I was obviously on a bend like this, where obviously you're laid down, you're on a bend basically. You've got to go past, like, I think it's like your pelvic bone is like this, and he basically just has to go up and like that. But I would get him like to here, and then he would just whoop, and I kept feeling that, and I think that's what really annoyed me. So that really got me to push for longer, because I was pushing till about 10 seconds, like they count 1, 2, 3, like and I got to about 10, and then I was like, nah, I can't, I need to give up for a minute, I need to breathe. But feeling that really got me to push a lot longer, because I wanted him out. Like, I was at the point now where I was just like, just get him out. After a few pushes he came out. Obviously you get past the head and then the shoulders, and they basically just come out pretty quickly after the shoulders. So that was that. Rob cut the cord. I was kind of not like surreal, I was kind of just laid there like, thank God he is out. Because I was fed up of being pregnant, I was fed up of labour, I just wanted him out. And he was out, and then she said to me, do you want the injection to help you deliver your placenta? And I said, yeah, whatever, give it to me, just get it out, I'm done. And Rob had cut the cord. She basically gave me the injection, and then straight away I gave birth to the placenta. That was the easiest thing in the world. I will forever till my dying breath say the best part of giving birth is delivering the placenta, because obviously you have your baby and it's amazing, it's such a beautiful feeling, that's your baby, but you still feel like there's something up there, because obviously there is. And as soon as you give birth to the placenta, it's like you're back to normal. You should feel fine again. You feel amazing. Well, not amazing, but the only downside about delivering my placenta was I really wanted to donate mine to a charity that is in my hospital, which basically you can donate your placenta and they will take it to get all the nutrients and the blood out for babies that are not very well. or premature, things like that. So I really wanted to do that, but because I gave birth in the evening, I couldn't do that. They could only do it if you give birth during the day, because they only had someone working there during the day that could take it immediately and, you know, get all the bits that they needed. So that kind of... This child. So that kind of not upset me, but I was kind of a bit disappointed with that, but it is what it is. Obviously you can't control what time you're going to give birth. So on Monday the 26th of February 2018 at 22:42, Noah was born. He weighed 7 pounds 2. Yeah, I have a picture. Let me just see if I can find it and see if you can see it. There you go. There you are. Can you see? 2 seconds again. I have a tired child. Was born on the 26th February 22:42, weighing 7 pounds 2, so a lot of twos. We basically wanted to go home straight away, pretty much. I think they said to us we could leave about 3 or 4 in the morning. Excuse me. After like all the checks, and I'd had my checks, and I'd had a shower. I think I fell asleep about midnight. And I know that you have to go to the toilet within 4 hours after giving birth, so you don't get an infection, and basically just to see if you can go to the toilet. And I think I'd woke up with like half an hour left of the 4 hours, and just as I'd woken up, the midwife said to me, I was just going to come wake you up because obviously you need to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet. It was extremely difficult to pee. I couldn't pee. Took me a while, but I did the tiniest little bit, and obviously I was worried that that wasn't going to be enough. And I said to the midwife, I've only done like the tiniest little bit, is that all right? And there's a lot of blood in there, obviously, because you bleed quite a lot after you give birth. She said, as long as you've done a little bit, as long as you've managed to go, that's fine, that's not a problem. And they basically just said to us, you know, you can stay until the morning because it's really cold outside. I think it was like -3 outside, and they said, you know, it's really cold, you can stay here if you want to. And we weren't going to, but then I was so tired, I fell asleep, and I think we fell asleep. Hang on a minute. What's the matter? There you go. I think I fell asleep until about 6 in the morning, and I think we left about 7. I had to have a blood test afterwards because I felt like quite short of breath after I'd given birth. When I was like walking and talking, I got out of breath quite quickly, so I had to have a blood test to see if I was anemic. So I had to wait around for those results, but turns out I wasn't anemic. So yeah, we got to go home that day, and that's when the fun began. It was quite scary, obviously, going home with a newborn, thinking, oh my god, I've just had a baby, what am I going to do? But you know, he has been such a good baby. He still is such a good baby. We've been incredibly lucky. We did go through a patch of him not sleeping for about the first 2 months. I think he'd sleep for about an hour, and that's only if me or Rob was holding him, so that was quite difficult. But ever since then, he slept through the night. He's an incredibly happy baby all the time, and yeah, so we've just been really lucky, really blessed to be able to have a baby in the first place. We love him so much. That was a story on my pregnancy, my labour and delivery. If you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to comment down below, and I will answer them as best as I can. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel. And yeah, see you guys next time.